Well, so much for week 4 being better. That's 2 straight weeks. 7-9 last week in winners. 8-8 against the spread. My goodness. First couple of weeks of the season, I thought it was doing okay. Then reality is starting to set back in. I'm 37-27 picking winners season to date and 35-28 against the spread. No wonder so many other people, especially on radio and television, they only pick a few games so that way they don't look as bad and they don't worry about the spread and things like that. My goodness. And especially when you think about some of the results from last weekend's games. You got Buffalo going to Atlanta and defeating the defending NFC champion Falcons. You've got the Rams going into Dallas and beating the Cowboys. Detroit going to Minnesota and beating the Vikings. Carolina going to New England and beating the defending Super Bowl champion Patriots. And for God's sakes, the one thing that they thought you could have them do right, the Jets can't even tank right. They beat the damn Jaguars in overtime. I mean, it's that type of crap that happens sometimes that you just like, it's what can still sometimes keep the league interesting, and at the same point in time, you don't know what the hell is going to happen. So those type of things happen, and it makes you look really bad. Makes you look really, really bad. In terms of my best call from week number 4, I think it has to clearly be I picked Houston to win over Tennessee in a week full of shitty picks. That was one of the good ones. 57-14. I'm just saying. Oh, thank you. I was pretty confident in that pick. It was one of the few things I got right last week. The worst call. Picking Miami +3 to not only cover but beat the Saints. What the hell was I thinking? I'm picking a Jay Cutler team. What is wrong with me? Apparently I can't quit him either. I will be rectifying that mistake, I assure you. But to think that Jay would go to London and give a crap. They got shut out. They made the Saints defense look like the 85 Bears, for God's sakes. That's the magic and the majesty of the Jay Cutler experience. Dolphins fans, enjoy your 2017 season. I tried to warn you. Tell me how my ass tastes. The worst beat of the week, I think, has to be KC covering the 7.5-point spread with that late defensive touchdown. Give me a damn break. Those are the type of things that you see when they happen. You go, you know what? It may or may not be rigged, but if you're ever trying to create a case for sports being rigged and being fixed, it would be crap like that you point to, that you say there's no real justification for that happening. There's no real reason for that happening. Yet, lo and behold, it ultimately does, and magically it covers the spread where you probably assume the majority of the money put down in Vegas was on the Redskins +7.5. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. So, sometimes this crap can be really, really hard, and it's unfortunate because I don't just sit there and write them down in like a pool at work or something. I come on here on the interweb where potentially people in just about every country in the world except North Korea can see what the hell I'm saying. But lo and behold, that's how it goes. So let's get to the week 5 picks and see how bad I can screw this week up. I started off well. I picked New England -3 against Tampa Bay, and they won and covered, again with the late field goal that makes you kind of go, But with that said, I started off last week really well, picking Green Bay to win and cover against the Bears. So what the hell does that mean? Absolutely nothing at this point, just that I started off 1-0 in both categories. Let's get going. Sunday early games. Buffalo travels to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, coming off of their first win of the year. The Bengals are favored by 3. I will take the Bengals at home -3. The Jets travel to Cleveland in what you thought was going to be the Suck for Sam Bowl, or the Job for Josh Bowl, and who the hell knows what's going to happen at this point in time, because the Jets can't even tank right. They're sitting at 2-2. They're thinking they might be able to go into Cleveland and win a game, and all of a sudden be 3-2, and then all types of helter-skelter breaks out in the AFC East in the NFL. The Browns sitting at 0-4, pretty much I think where everybody expected them to be after the first quarter of the season. This is one of those rare opportunities for the Browns to be able to win a game. I'm putting my money on the skid marks this week. Give me the Browns -0.5 point. Carolina and their quarterback, who says bad things, Cam Newton, goes to Detroit to take on the Lions. This is actually a really intriguing matchup with 2 3-1 teams. Carolina coming off of that great road win last week against the Patriots. The Lions coming off of their own very sound quality road win in the division against Minnesota. This is an important game. And this is one of the games I'm most excited for this week. Detroit's favored by 1. It's hard to know. Is Cam going to come out and ball out like he did last week, especially with the media distraction, or is he going to not show up? I'm still going to default to the Lions, even though I really, really hesitate because Matthew Stafford traditionally does not play well against good teams. That's just his history. I think he defies the history here. Give me the Lions minus the 1. San Francisco travels to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Can the 49ers get their first win of the year? And one of those is so bad it's good type of matchups. It's possible. It could even happen. But I will take the Colts minus half a point. Tennessee goes to Miami to take on the Dolphins. I'm not picking Jay Cutler's team right now. Give me Tennessee minus the 1. The Chargers travel to New York to take on the Giants at MetLife Stadium. The 0-4 Bowl. 2 teams right now battling it out for the number 1 overall pick with the Browns and the 49ers. The good thing for both of these teams is there's no way that both of them could lose this game. It could go to overtime, and with the shortened 10-minute overtime, it could end up potentially ending in a tie, which would be bad too. But for these teams, it's basically they feel like if they have any chance at all in the world this season of getting back into the mix, this is the epitome of must-win games. Now, for all intents and purposes, both the Chargers and Giants seasons are done, but maybe from a Giants standpoint, they feel like their season is not, and it's not completely unrealistic to think that they could still have a chance, although it is very, very, very unlikely. The Chargers are pretty much cooked. You look at this matchup, the Giants the past couple of weeks have been in a position late where they've had a chance to win a game. I think this is the week they do it. Give me the Giants to win and the Giants to cover minus the 3. Arizona travels to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. The Eagles sitting at 3-1. The Cardinals not so impressive, 2-2. The Eagles are favored by 7 here. I like the Eagles to win, but in terms of Arizona, I do like them to cover plus the 7. Jacksonville travels to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Jacksonville smarting out that road loss last week after coming back from London and that shellacking they gave the Ravens. They got beat by the Jets. This is still the Jags sometimes they seem to want to show us. Whereas the Steelers are coming off of that dominant performance in Baltimore. Now you're looking at it, a 2-2 team versus a 3-1 team. The Steelers are at home. Big Ben plays better at home. Le'Veon Bell had a good week last week. Steelers are favored minus 10. Give me the Steelers to win, but give me the Jaguars to cover. The Sunday late games. Baltimore travels to Oakland to take on E.J. Manuel and the Raiders. Good luck with that, Raiders fans. I will give you a little bit of confidence this week, which you may or may not want this karma. I will take the Raiders minus the Raiders minus the 2.5. The 2 other Sunday late games are really, really interesting. You've got Seattle traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. The Seahawks in recent years really struggle with the Rams. It was a bad matchup. Now, granted, it's an entirely different team, you could argue, with the Rams because of the coaching staff, the defensive philosophy. But there's a lot of familiarity there, and it's not a surprise at this moment that I saw the Rams favored by half a point. If the Rams want to show that this is their division to win, if they really truly want to be taken seriously, even though they're 3-1 now, I think there's some doubt and some reservation. If they can beat the Seahawks in Los Angeles and go to 4-1, send the Seahawks to 2-3, now you're talking about potentially a 2-game lead over the Seahawks with an early tiebreaker over them. This is a big game for the Rams. This is a big game for Sean McVay. This is a big game in Jared Goff's career. I expect this to be a close battle, and who knows what could happen. It could be a 9-6 affair. It could be a 30-27 type of affair. The Rams are favored by half a point. I still like the Seahawks in their pedigree here. They came to life in the second half against a bad Indianapolis team last week at home. Granted, they're going on the road, but I'll take the Seahawks plus a half a point and the Seahawks to win. The Packers go to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. This is a revenge game for Dallas after what happened in the divisional round last year in AT&T Stadium. I will take the Cowboys minus the 1. The Sunday night game, Kansas City travels to Houston to take on the Texans, who all of a sudden have found something with Deshaun Watson, like they should have started the guy from week 1. Just throwing it out there. Interesting matchup. I'm kind of surprised when you're talking about the Chiefs being the only undefeated team in the league, taking on a Texans team with a rookie quarterback, that it's actually the Texans, as of the time of me recording this video, that are favored by half a point. This Chiefs team looks really good right now in a regular season sense, and that's all we're picking right now is regular season. Give me the Chiefs to win and Chiefs plus the half a point. The Monday night game, though. This is the whole shebang-a-bang for the Schleg Daddy this week. After the first quarter of the season was pretty much wasted by that idiot John Fox wanting to stick his neck out for Giraffe Neck, who didn't need any more neck stuck out for him, believe me. Now we've gotten to the point where the Mitchell Trubisky era has officially begun in Chicago, and maybe, just maybe now, the Bears and their offensive play calling no longer feel like they have to hide their quarterback. What a novel concept. I cannot remember the last time I was this excited for a Bears game. After all these years of suffering through the Jay Cutler experience, all those years of wasted time with the Rex Grossman experience, all the time of waiting for this team to draft a young quarterback, and don't you bring up Cade McNown, because if you do, fuck you. Waiting for this team to actually draft a quarterback who could potentially be that long-term franchise guy. Yes, he wasn't the guy that I would have picked. No, I didn't like everything that went down in terms of how they ultimately got him and the trade up to get him. But the fact is, it doesn't matter now. This is his moment. This is his time. And I am not about to sit there and try to put any bad karma on this or try to sabotage it. Because I don't want Trubisky to bust. I don't want him to fail, because if he does, it's another several years wasted and then several years more to potentially identify and find the next guy. I'm more excited for this game on Monday night against the Vikings in Soldier Field than I was for Super Bowl 41. Why? Because I knew Turd Ferguson, Rex Grossman was the quarterback, and there was no way the Bears are going to win that damn game when all was said and done. More excited than the 2010 season, the NFC Championship game at Soldier Field against the Green Bay Packers, because I knew eventually Cutler was going to rear his ugly head and it was Aaron Rodgers, so I knew deep down how that game was going to go. It has been years and years since I've legitimately been this excited about any Chicago Bears game. And Monday night feels like the potential for the beginning of something. No more wasted time with Glennon. No more thinking, wishing, and hoping. Now we begin to start to see what can potentially be. And while I know the Vikings may or may not have Sam Bradford for this game, the Minnesota Vikings are, yes, clearly the better team than the Chicago Bears. The Minnesota Vikings are favored by 3 points. If you think I'm not picking the Chicago Bears to cover plus the 3 and Chicago to win in Mitchell Trubisky's first ever NFL start at Soldier Field, where they played the Atlanta Falcons tough as hell and frankly should have beat them, and then 2 weeks later actually beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in overtime, you're insane, especially a Vikings team that just lost their stud rookie running back, Dalvin Cook, to a torn ACL, gone for the year. This is Mitchell Trubisky's time. This is his moment, and I cannot wait until Monday night on primetime television, ESPN. Hopefully I haven't put the jinx on him, to see the beginning of the possibility, the potential of what could be, and enjoy the Chicago Bears beating the Minnesota Vikings. It's happening. That's my upset pick of the week. That's my call of the week. That's my freaking lock of the week. You gotta put that bitch in the bank. Mitch Trubisky and the Bears are beating those fucking horn-blowing Skull Vikings come Monday night. Period.